Hi, welcome to the Dollhouse. I'm Nikki and it is January 11th. You ever find yourself in a situation where you're doing something and you think, I should really, whatever it is, but you ignore it. You say, oh, it'll be fine. And then you find out later that you really should have listened to that I should really ... Yeah, keep that in mind because I have a few of those to share with you today. I'm gonna talk to you quick about my fitness first because that'll be nice and quick. I'm into my third week of hammer and chisel. I remember from the first time I did that, between weeks 2 and 3, the intensity ratchets up a little bit, and it's definitely true this time around. Oh, can I have that? Thank you. With adding the extra workouts, it's definitely adding intensity to the experience, but I'm having a lot of fun with it and I am making progress. I can tell already because one, my belt is almost back where it was before Christmas and Thanksgiving, so that's a plus. And also I did, was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday. I did 11 pull-ups and 11 chin-ups with the assist band, which is a personal best for me. I have not been able to do that many before, so definitely making progress on that front. So that's pretty much it. Still working on my eating. That's a constant struggle for me, and I've known this for a while and I'm just not ready to fully embrace it yet, but coffee is my downfall. Just like for smokers, coffee makes them want to smoke. Coffee makes me want to eat all the sweet things, and if I'm gonna get serious about it, I'm gonna have to rethink my coffee consumption, which I'm not ready to do yet, but I'm gonna keep plugging along doing the best I can food-wise. Alright, so I've been crocheting a lot this week. I've made some decent progress on my, hopefully, skirt. Oop, I just dropped my ball of yarn. So this is hand spun yarn. I spun years ago now. It's just been waiting for the perfect project, and my yarn is almost at the end and it's still pretty short. I do have a strategy for adding a little more length to this. This is a yarn that I spun also quite a while ago now. It's silk, spun from hankies, and it has a lot of the same orange and green hues that this yarn does. The only problem is it's quite a bit thinner and the color is a lot darker. So I also have these yarn samples I spun. These are all came with different bristlecone spindles I have, and each one is different. I don't know the exact fiber content, but my notes on the green one, which just rolled across the floor, is that it seemed like a long wool. The staple length was very long, whereas this orange one, I wrote that it could possibly be a down. The staple length is very short and it's very, very soft. This is, I wish I knew what this was because I would get more of it. And then I wrote that this could possibly be Angora. I don't know, but my samples are always very thin because they're samples. They're not very much there, so I want to stretch it as long as I can. So my plan is to hold a sample yarn, double with the silk yarn, and continue working on my skirt project. And I know it's going to be more striped than the current thing is. And if I don't like it, then I'll just rip it out and I'll have a cowl instead, and that'll be just fine. I'm crocheting that cowl with a 2.75 millimeter, which is a C hook. I started this project last night, actually. I told you I've been needing to make socks for the kids. So far, I've only made Sophie's. Well, I started Oliver's socks last night. This pattern came across my Facebook feed, and I was a little intrigued by it. I crocheted a pair of socks many, many years ago now. It was when Darren and I were first married. They turned out awful. They didn't stretch at all. They were so stiff. I don't know. I think I just threw them away. They were ridiculous. And I've never crocheted another pair of socks since. I'd been entertaining the idea of crocheting Ainsley socks because they're small and I could experiment. But I don't know. I just saw this pattern last night. Darren ended up having to stay in Duluth because the roads were bad, so it was just me and Netflix, and I got started. This is pretty stretchy. It uses front post stitches to make a rib, and even though this is a sock yarn, I'm using Bamboo and You from Joann Fabrics. Even though it's a sock yarn, the fabric is very thick. It's like double thickness, and I think they're going to be pretty nice in the end. The only downfall is it's eating through the yardage. I had planned to make Oliver and Lainey socks out of this same yarn, but there definitely isn't going to be enough after I'm done crocheting these socks, so I'll have to rethink hers, which is fine. I'm always improvising. I've been working, the socks I'm working on a size F, which is a 3.75 millimeter. Been working on my sweater spin. I started in on the hand carded stuff. I have 4 of these bins full. Each of them has about 4 ounces of wool in it. This is the first batch I did, so the carding's a little rough. There's also, the wool itself is a little rough. Shetland can have longer, coarser hairs in with the softer, finer wool. And while I was carding it, I was thinking that I should maybe pull those out, but it'll be fine. It's not horrible, but let's see, this one, you can see there's some of the longer hair right there. It's a little scratchy. It's not as smooth, but the next bins should be softer, smoother. I started pulling out the guard hairs. I wish I had a lock to show you. You actually just grab onto the tips of the hair and pull it out. It's not a big effort, and I don't know why I didn't start it sooner. But the other thing I was thinking while I was carding this wool, I was really packing it in there. Just packing. And I remember thinking, I shouldn't put so much in there. It's gonna get compacted and difficult to spin, but it'll be fine. I'm gonna get to it right away. It won't have time. Right. So Shetland has a very easy tendency to felt, and these are super compacted and stuck together, so it's really hard to pull the strips apart without ripping them. I have to be pretty gentle. But once they're pulled apart, they still spin really nice. And I had said last week I was having trouble getting a consistent yarn, and it's been going much better since I got into my hand carded prep, because my sample was made from hand carded prep, so it makes sense that once I got into similarly prepped wool, I would be able to match that sample more closely. So that's where I'm at on my sweater spin. I'm about quarter way through this first spin. I have 3 more to go after that. And the last thing I have to show you is I made a batch of soap this week. Ta-da. This is what it looks like. I believe this is what's called a double pour. And what that means is you make the first batch and pour it. Then you make another batch of slightly different soap and pour it on top. So you get this kind of 2-tone variation. And my inspiration muse or whatever for this was a cabin in the woods. And so I kind of based the bottom part off a soap I've made before. I used coffee, which is a deodorizer in soap.
Mommy,
And
we need you to get this out.
Okay, I'll do it in a minute. Sorry. So I kept the oils and fats the same in both batches just to make it easy on me. The bottom half, the smaller batch, was 5 ounces each of lard and coconut oil. I like lard in soap. It makes a nice long-lasting soap, and actually on the scale of skin conditioning, lard ranks pretty well. It actually conditions your skin better than coconut oil, which I was kind of surprised.
I got it out.
Okay, good job. To find that out, but so, and they both, lard and coconut oil, make a nice firm bar of soap. Then I did 4 ounces of olive oil. Olive oil is just kind of middle of the road as far as skin conditioning, and it also does not add hardness to soap, nor does it make it soft. It's very neutral in that part. And the last oil I used was, hey, quiet down, was 2 ounces of avocado oil. Knock it off. And avocado oil has a lot of skin conditioning benefits, but it softens your soap, so that's why I only use 2 ounces. The next batch, same oils, just doubled. So between the 2 batches of soap, I used 3 pounds of fat and oils. So the first batch I made with coffee, I just made a really strong batch. I use rainwater in all my soap. I still have some in the fridge from this summer, so I've just been using that. And I put the coffee in the fridge to cool off and set the grounds out to dry, because coffee grounds can hold moisture for a while. So what I did was I left them in the filter and set that on top of some paper towels and just let the water wick out of it. And then I did, for the top soap, I did like a pine needle tea. Our Christmas tree was still up. I took needles off of that. Our tree is still very fresh and alive. We used like a 7-Up water bleach concoction that keeps the tree really green and fresh. The buds were actually opening on ours. So I used about 3/4 cup of needles, and I poured boiling water over the top, and I just let that steep all day. And when it was time to make the soap, I strained those needles out and discarded them. Hey, that's enough. Just give it to her, please. Sorry. Oh. So, the little chunks in the soap, I put our coffee grounds. And those are there for exfoliation. And also on the top, I have balsam needles. And what I did there was I put a fresh batch of needles in our coffee grinder, ground them up really fine, and there was probably about a tablespoon. So I mixed the coffee grounds and the balsam needles in at trace and poured the second half of the soap. Between the 2 batches, I put a layer of coffee grounds just to get a nice line there. If I made this batch again, I would put more because to get a more defined line. You see there isn't hardly anything there, but whenever I make soap, cedar oil too. I put cedar oil in this coffee soap to try to get a nice woodsy aroma. If I were to make this soap again, I would try to have more needles, more variety of needles on hand. I'm thinking like a spruce balsam red pine mix. I don't know. Maybe this spring I'll try again with more variety and see if that changes the scent at all. But thank you so much. Oh, okay. Go play, honey. Sorry, I'm getting so distracted. There's so much going on. So here's the thing. Whenever I make soap, I always weigh the water first, put it off to the side, and weigh the lye separately. This time I did not do that. I weighed the water, zeroed the scale, and started adding lye and weighed it that way. And while I was doing that, Sophie, come here. Hey, come here. While I was doing that, I was thinking to myself, I should really keep these separate. It'll be fine. Well, the first batch, it was fine. The second batch, I weighed the water or the pine needle tea, zeroed the scale, and started adding lye. A little bit, nothing happened. Add a little bit more, nothing happened. My scale was malfunctioning. So then I had to try to guess how much lye I'd put in and adjust from there, which is not a good thing. When I make soap, I super fat at 5%. What that means is there's enough fat to use up all the lye and then some. So it's easy on your hands. If you read like Little House on the Prairie or some older accounts of homemade soap, the soaps can be very harsh. And that's for two reasons. One is the lye they were using was most likely homemade, so there was no guarantee on the strength of it, and there just wasn't a reliable way to know your fat to lye ratio. So the soaps could get kind of harsh and even burn a little bit. Super fatting helps guard against that. So I'm hoping that my soap is okay. I will be disappointed if it's not. This is one of the bigger batches I've made, and I will be bummed if I have to get rid of it. I've used some of the scraps from cutting, and I don't feel it doesn't burn. My hands are a little dry, but it's been cold, so it's hard to know for sure. But and soap takes a while to cure. This soap's made it not yesterday, but the night before. So it's been less than 48 hours, and it can take weeks for the whole soapification process to occur. So I won't know for sure for a few weeks, but I will definitely be tweaking this recipe, and because it smells really nice and it looks really nice, and I will be measuring my lye separately from now on. See you next week.